this is Sunil Rajlakal, and I'd like to welcome you all to the channel Khospatra. From the last 5 years, we have been working closely with the art and artists. And today we have a very special guest from North California. Her name is Grace, and I'd like to welcome her to the show. Hannah, welcome to the show.
Namaste.
Namaste.
It is such an honor to be here talking with you.
Yes, likewise. The pleasure is all mine.
Oh.
Right, so we'll be beginning our talk from your initial days, how you started your artworks in general.
So, I've been doing artwork since I was old enough to hold a crayon in my little baby hands. There's a home video of me running up to my mom with a page of a drawing explaining why blue and purple look so good together. So it's really been since day one that I've enjoyed creating artwork. However, along the way I've had some wonderful teachers. When I was in high school, I decided to take a semester off to go to the Oxbow Art School. It is a boarding school in Napa, and there I was exposed to a lot of techniques as well as mindsets for creating artwork. It really taught me how to find a narrative, dig a little bit deeper, and then moving on from there, I had a great teacher in high school my senior year who helped me with AP artwork. And it was there that I figured out a lot of technique that I really enjoyed painting. And after that, I am now studying studio art at Cal Poly Humboldt. And there it's been a really fun time getting to be exposed to different modalities of artwork. So for example, I took an illustration class for character creation, which is very out of the box for me, and a lot of fun. The professors there have been quite supportive and helpful, and have actually helped me get here, giving me advice along the way as to how to be a better professional.
It marks to be your solo show, right?
Yes, this is my first solo show and first show in general, actually. This is my first time exhibiting art in a gallery, and it's overwhelming. It is so fun to be here, to talk with everyone, and honestly, I'm fulfilling the dreams of my childhood self. And so it's very fulfilling in more ways than one.
In most of your artworks, the predominant subject matter is nature.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's something that I love very dearly, and I believe connects all of us. And I think that that is part of the point of artwork, is the ability to communicate with anyone on a very human level. What more human than nature? It's where we all come from, and it's where we will all return one day.
Very well said.
Thank you.
And the color combinations that you have done, for example, in the hummingbird, it's really beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. Color is something that has always inspired me and made me happy. And so the ability to kind of bring out those pure gem tones is something that I've always strived for. And so, for example, the hummingbird is named the ruby-throated hummingbird. So it was very important to me to create this bird in a way that made it look so precious, like a gemstone, because it is for the environment as well as its symbology to me.
So what does it generally symbolize to you?
For me, so my personal connection with this bird is through my grandfather, actually. He's a very strong man who was a Marine, and he's also very active, so meditation does not come easily to him. His way of meditating is going into the garden and remaining as still as possible and waiting for a hummingbird to land on his finger. And through that, he's able to find stillness and peace. While at the same time, this bird is incredibly energetic and fierce too. They're very territorial. Their size will not stop them. And so through their immense migration, as well as how they pollinate and affect the local flora and fauna, I find them to be very important creatures.
I was reading about you, Hannah, and while I was reading about you, I found that you had a kind of farmland in Napa.
Yes, I grew up on a small farm in the hills of the Napa Valley. It's always been a wonderful place for me. a place where I can feel like myself and feel very connected to the land. My dad, growing up, he always taught me about sustainable agriculture. That's his passion. That's what he loves to do. And my mother, she taught me animal husbandry. She actually grew up on a ranch as the last of 10 kids in the Napa Valley. They had orchards as well as cattle, so she has lots of memories of caring for the creatures there. And so she taught me how to ride horses at the age of 3. She helped me through 4-H, which is actually how I got to go to college. I sold lambs for meat for going to college. It's a wonderful way my community supports young people on their way and journey. And so these connections have informed a lot of my action, as well as you can tell, my artwork.
That's really interesting to know that you sold a lamb in order to go to college.
Yeah.
How many?
So I started that when I was in 8th grade. Let's see, I was 14 at the time. And I sold lamb all the way until 2019. I would sell 2 per year. And through that fundraising, I was able to build up a very good college savings. And, California college is not cheap. So for years, I've been supporting myself that way. And now that the lamb money has run out, I've moved on to environmentalist jobs, such as being a wildlife biology technician. So 2 summers I've spent searching for spotted owls in the woods, and through searching for these birds, we're able to protect old-growth forest. They're what's called an indicator species, which means that they indicate whether or not the environment, the ecosystem, is healthy or not. So they only nest in old-growth forests. So our goal was to find nesting pairs each summer and report back so that logging couldn't happen in these areas.
So you have been environmental conservationist?
Absolutely. I spent actually my first few college years with trying to earn an environmental science degree. And it's still something very close to my heart. I'm striving for a minor in that. It's helped inspire me for my artwork as well. It's kind of a feedback. I need to interact with both to really feel that kind of excitement for life, that presence.
Hannah, could you tell me more about how you started coming to Nepal? When was your first time?
Absolutely. So I came to Nepal because of my grandparents. My grandparents have been coming here since the 80s. I got to come with them for the first time in 2016 to see their connections here, the work that they do, so on and so forth. And I found it to be such an incredible place. I returned after high school because I wanted to have a greater experience than just kind of going straight to college. I felt that I wanted to learn something a little bit deeper, a little bit more. And then I came back with my friend for a month again, and we both got to experience Nepal together, which was an absolutely incredible experience and a lifelong friend that I'm glad I got to share that with. And now, this is my most recent time, and again, it just feels like home. I'm so happy to be here. It's one place that will remain close to my heart, and I'll visit again and again.
What are the things that you like the most here in Nepal?
I love the mindset of people here. There's a deeper sense of consciousness and kindness that I don't feel I always get to experience in California, well, in the US at large. I really appreciate all of the color, and especially the interactions of people with their past. I admire the amount of history here. Again, that's something that I don't see as much in California. The cities are quite recent, and so it's incredible to be in a space where people have been doing what they do for literally thousands of years. It's incredibly beautiful.
Let's get back to one of your paintings.
Mm-hmm.
It is called Memory, and your memory is kind of hazy, and it's quite spiral.
Yes.
Could you tell me more about it?
Absolutely. That piece in particular references the enjoyment and fun I've had with all of my friends in my youth. We would go exploring nature, building forts together, and these memories have been a place that I've visited in my mind at time and time again, especially if I'm feeling a little blue. And through visiting these memories, you get to interact with what you've experienced without touching it. So it's kind of like the veil of time over these memories. You can't quite touch it, but you can still interact with it and feel those intensely beautiful feelings.
In yet another painting that I love the most is a face covered with rainbow.
Ah, good luck, rainbow trout.
Right.
So I was actually inspired by one of the 8 lucky symbols, the 2 golden fish, representing true happiness and freedom. That is something that I honestly pray that the California ecosystem can experience with the fish there. The salmonid species are actually endangered. Some of them are facing extinction because of human intervention. Our water systems are very disconnected because of dams, agricultural use, illegal diversion, and pollution. Because of these reasons, the fish are unable to make it to their ancestral spawning grounds. And it is my sincere hope for the future that these fish can one day be truly happy and free.
Very nicely said.
Thank you.
Let's get a bit deeper on your sense of art and spiritualism. How do you connect both of these together?
My expression of spirituality through my art is directly found in color, as well as my subject matter. I like to paint things that bring happiness to both myself and others. It's a focus of mine, no matter what kind of painting I'm dealing with. I like talking about somewhat dark topics, for example, the rainbow trout. There's a lot of issues being faced by those fish. But through my artwork, I hope to bring positivity and life and love to these topics. One of my most successful pieces I made when I was 16 years old was to my grandfather. And it's a skull with butterflies. And it's about death, honestly. But the renewal process, the beauty in it. Like, how lucky are we that we one day get to die, which is dark, but it's intensely beautiful. And it's something that I've experienced while living on the farm. It was important to my family that we were there for our animals when they passed. Because we loved them, we would name them. And one day they would feed us. Or, in my case, send me to college.
Is dying important?
Of course, just as living is.
How?
Well, that's a deep question. One I honestly have not found the answer to. I don't think I ever will, though. But that's good. I think that's the point, We just move through life searching and experiencing what we can. And, it's a happy journey. It's incredibly lucky we get to be here. It's incredibly lucky I get to be here with you today. Mm-hmm. What are the odds?
On the same frame, if you are supposed to define art, how do you do it?
Oh my gosh. That's the eternal question, right? Is everything art or is nothing art? It all depends on your perspective. For me, I think it comes down to intention. Do you intend for it to be art? And so that's how I can include very conceptual modern artworks. For example, the banana on the wall, very classic, but a lot of people would argue maybe that isn't art. In my case, I do believe that would be art because of the intention behind it. I think intention is everything.
Hannah, there are a lot of artists who think after making the art, the work of the artist is over. It's up to the viewers who are supposed to interpret it the way they like it. What's your view or what's your take on it?
Well,
Do you think art needs to be explained?
I don't think all art needs to be explained. Again, it comes back to intention. If the intention of the artist is to involve the viewer in the thought process, creating a process or a dialogue between the artwork and the person, I think that that's absolutely valid. However, I also think it's valid for certain works to need explanation, to be a jumping off, to be a platform for example, change. Certain activist artworks, I do believe, are better for the explanation of the artist because they intended for an explanation to happen.
So what do you generally do? Do you explain or just let it be?
I do a little bit of both. I like to let people have a moment to take everything in, and if they have questions, I do love explaining. So for example, the rainbow trout you referenced earlier, I do believe that that piece is stronger for its explanation. A lot of people do not know about the struggles of these fish, and I feel like I can create good in this world by explaining this, by creating awareness. However, there are other pieces that I really enjoy people just thinking what they think. You know, it's beautiful to see someone's interaction, see their own interpretation. I think that can be just as beautiful as any art piece.
There are a lot of artists who view that, after being inspired from the nature and copying it for a certain time, they move to the abstract art. Do you have any plans for that?
I definitely see myself moving further into metaphor. I actually really enjoy a bit of realism. However, it's kind of abstracted realism. If you've noticed, my colors are very saturated. They're not necessarily like that in real life. However, it is partly how I express my happiness and love of these things is by creating them in very vivid colors or jewel tones,
In most of your paintings, flowers are coming again and again. Why flowers?
Well, partly because I've always loved flowers. My mom worked as a nursery attendant for 14 years, and so she's very well versed in flowers. In fact, she just started a business of a cut flower business in the Napa Valley. And so I've grown up around flowers and interacting with gardens for a long time, so it's a very close motif to me. On top of that, they're absolutely beautiful, and flowers can represent a lot to a lot of people. My piece, I Give You Flowers, is all about the very funny human expression of giving each other flowers. It's something that you can find in nearly every culture. We give each other flowers for so many reasons, whether it be love, loss, acknowledgement. And so flowers are how I help express what I'm trying to express.
But does it not wither?
That is part of the beauty. So another one of my pieces, Phantom Flowers, is all about that cycle of flowers. So just as people, I believe that at any age a flower is beautiful. And so in the fall, once the flowers have fully passed on and died, we will collect all of the dead plants and flowers and compost them, returning them back into the soil, returning them into a very nutritious source for the garden the next year so that we may have even more beautiful blooms. It's all about having that closed system. And so that is absolutely part of it. It's part of enjoying the beauty of the flowers, knowing that it's temporary.
Just like the cycle of nature.
Absolutely.
Do you believe in the cycle of birth and rebirth?
Yes, I do. I do. In a scientific sense, you could return in ways of materials such as like protons, neutrons, electrons, classically, nutrients for the soil, nourishing plants. In a spiritual sense, I do believe that we come back in certain ways I don't know yet. I'm still a little too young to understand that, but it's something that I have felt time and time again. So it's through exploring different religions and practices that have kind of helped confirm this idea for me.
So, what do you prefer to be, being an environmentalist or an artist? What's your first choice, if you're supposed to choose?
I went back and forth on that for a long time, and I don't believe I have to choose anymore. I sincerely believe I can do both. Maybe I'm not career bound for environmentalism, but I can still be an environmentalist through my actions, through raising awareness.
So, since this is your first solo show, how do you plan to, what's your next plan? What next now?
I'm actually planning currently on a show down in San Miguel de Allende. It's a place in central Mexico, a very strong art community. I have some connections there I've been very lucky to meet. And yeah, I should be able to have a show in March there this year. Well, this coming year, I should say.
Well, good luck for that.
Thank you very much. I'm feeling very excited. I've learned so much here, and I'm so excited to try again.
Like we had been talking about art, just in the same line, I'd like to know what colors means to you.
Colors represent, I think, pure emotion when I think about it in my heart. You know, psychologically, we feel certain things when we see different colors. There's a reason why advertisers will choose certain colors. It's because psychologically it deeply impacts us. And there's one of my favorite studies. A town in Russia, they decided to literally paint the town. It was a very gray town, and they put in all kinds of different colors. They made sure it was very vibrant. Crime rates went down. Suicide rates went down. General happiness of the public was up. And so color is so important for creating dialogue, for creating happiness and feeling, which is, I think, part of the point of life. You know, what is the point of life if you're not going to feel?
Is it all psychological, like you were mentioning?
That's something that I'm sincerely unsure about. I mean, it's a very interesting argument back and forth between science and spirituality. They both explain the same thing. And whether or not it's just chemicals in our mind, our feelings are true, our feelings are real. And so I think that's worth expressing.
After you sell your artworks, what are you going to do with that money?
Well, all the money from this show is going directly to my college. I really want to graduate as soon as possible, and this is part of the way I'm making that happen. After that, you know, it is a business. I'm hoping to keep the money kind of returning back into the business to hopefully grow it bigger to the point where I can begin to help others, begin to give art lessons or support young artists, or, you know, donate to environmentalist movements. You know, the goal right now is to become successful so that I can hopefully turn around and bring others along with me.
Are there any artists that you look up to?
Absolutely.
Your inspirations?
So one of these artists in particular would be Tsering Sherpa. I sincerely appreciate his work, his narrative, even down to the beautiful bright colors. You know, as I've said, that is something that I sincerely love. But when I look to artists that I admire, it's usually their actions combined with their artworks. So for example, there was a local artist named Lowell Herrero. He has passed on now, but he was a dear friend of my grandparents, and I've been lucky enough to have known him and his wife. And he had the most beautiful soul. He was so grateful to just be here and so full of life, and he would share his happiness in so many ways with other people. And it's something I really admired about him, bringing peace with his artwork and happiness, and like I said, bringing others along with him. And he actually, one of the things he did is he created a scholarship for the California Art School in Berkeley, and has sponsored many young people to be able to go there, as well as actually the San Francisco Art School too. And Again, one of the things I admire about Tsering Sherpa is how he has supported others in their art career, including mine, giving me a platform to get to show my work in the first place. It's an incredible honor. And to see how these artists alike, though they're worlds apart and have entirely different artworks, work for their communities and for the greater good. And it's something that I hope to run into more and more and get inspired by along the way.
Any last message for the artists in general from your side?
Art is an opportunity. Art is what you make of it. Art can be so many things, and at the end of the day, I think it's just worth having fun, or at least a worthwhile interaction. In whatever way a person accomplishes that, I find that to be more than valid. To anyone who has attended my show already, thank you. It's been a deep honor getting to meet you and to see others enjoying my artwork. If to everyone else, you are more than invited. I would love to have people come to my gallery to interact with my artwork, to give me feedback, to not give me feedback, to just be here. It's truly an honor to have everyone as a guest. Everyone is invited. To anyone wanting to stop by, I sincerely hope to see you here. Please come between the hours of 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on weekdays at Tokpa Gallery and 7 p.m. on weekends. Thank you very much.